Chapter 1, The Silent Ward. St. Augustine's hospital had long been a fixture in the heart of the city, its grandiose architecture a relic of a bygone era. With its towering spires and intricately carved stonework, the hospital stood as both a beacon of hope and a monument to the passage of time. However, beneath its majestic exterior lay a dark history that few knew of, a history that would soon come to life in the most terrifying way. It was late autumn when the new intern, Laura Evans, began her rotation in the hospital's old wing. The wing, once a bustling center of activity, had been largely abandoned and was used primarily for storage. Laura was assigned to manage the old records and help with any administrative tasks. Despite the sterile environment and the hum of old machines, Laura felt a chill the moment she stepped into the wing. The wing was filled with forgotten medical equipment, dusty files, and the faint scent of antiseptic that seemed to linger in the air. As Laura sorted through the records, she noticed something peculiar, an old journal, bound in cracked leather, wedged between stacks of dusty files. The journal was worn but legible, and as she flipped through its pages, she found entries detailing strange occurrences, disappearances of patients, unexplained noises, and eerie sightings. The journal's last entry, written in a frantic scrawl, mentioned a shadowy figure seen roaming the halls after dark. Laura shivered as she read the words. That night, as she returned home, the images of the journal haunted her dreams. Chapter 2, The Unseen Patient. Laura's curiosity about the journal grew stronger with each passing day. She shared her findings with Dr. Michael Rhodes, a senior physician known for his knowledge of the hospital's history. Dr. Rhodes was intrigued but dismissive, attributing the journal's contents to the overactive imaginations of past staff. Determined to uncover the truth, Laura decided to investigate the old wing after hours. Armed with a flashlight and her smartphone, she ventured into the abandoned hallways. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of the old floorboards. As she walked, the temperature seemed to drop, and an unsettling feeling crept up her spine. In one of the empty rooms, Laura found an old patient's bed with its metal frame rusted and sheets tattered. Her flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. She heard a faint rustling sound, like someone, or something, moving nearby. She turned, but there was nothing there. Suddenly, she felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. Spinning around, Laura saw a shadowy figure at the end of the hallway, its form indistinct but menacing. Panic surged through her as she stumbled backward, her flashlight illuminating empty corridors and abandoned equipment. The figure moved closer, and Laura's heartbeat quickened. She fled the wing, her footsteps echoing through the darkened halls. As she burst into the main hospital area, she realized she was not alone. The shadow seemed to have followed her, and the oppressive feeling of being watched lingered. Chapter 3, The Haunting Begins. Laura's encounter with the shadowy figure was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, strange occurrences became more frequent. Staff reported hearing ghostly whispers and seeing flickers of movement in the old wing. The atmosphere in the hospital grew tense, and the once pristine halls seemed to be haunted by an invisible presence. Laura continued her research, uncovering more about the hospital's dark past. She learned about a former doctor, Dr. Samuel Graves, who had worked in the old wing many years ago. Dr. Graves had been involved in controversial and unethical experiments on patients, leading to several unexplained deaths and disappearances. The more Laura learned, the clearer it became that the shadowy figure was connected to Dr. Graves. According to old records, Dr. Graves had been dismissed under mysterious circumstances, and rumors suggested that his spirit, restless and vengeful, had never left the hospital. Determined to put an end to the haunting, Laura sought out the hospital's archivist, Mrs. Thompson, who had worked at St. Augustine's for decades. Mrs. Thompson revealed a chilling detail: Dr. Graves had been conducting experiments with a device designed to communicate with the spirit world. The device, however, had never been found, and it was believed that Dr. Graves' spirit had become bound to the old wing due to his unfinished work. Chapter 4: The Confrontation. With the knowledge she had gained, Laura prepared to confront the restless spirit. She enlisted the help of Dr. Rhodes, who had begun to believe in the supernatural after witnessing strange occurrences himself. Together, they set up a séance in the old wing, hoping to communicate with Dr. Graves and put his spirit to rest. As night fell, Laura, Dr. Rhodes, and Mrs. Thompson gathered in the old wing, the air thick with anticipation. The room was set up with candles, old medical equipment, and a makeshift altar. Laura had found an old photograph of Dr. Graves and placed it on the altar, hoping it would draw the spirit's attention. The séance began with a series of incantations and attempts to communicate with the spirit. The temperature in the room dropped drastically, and the shadows seemed to coalesce into a more defined form. The figure of Dr. Graves emerged, his face twisted in anguish. The spirit's presence was overwhelming, and the room was filled with an oppressive force. Dr. Graves' spirit seemed to react to their efforts, his form shifting and fluctuating with anger and desperation. The group continued the séance, using the information they had gathered to address the spirit's unfinished business. As they recited the final incantation, the room was suddenly filled with a blinding light. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and Dr. Graves' spirit let out a final, mournful cry before dissipating. The old wing fell silent, the haunting presence finally released. Chapter 5: The Aftermath. In the aftermath of the séance, St. Augustine's hospital began to return to normal. The old wing, now cleansed of its supernatural presence, was renovated and repurposed. The haunting had left its mark on the staff and patients, but the oppressive atmosphere had vanished. Laura, Dr. Rhodes, and Mrs. Thompson found a sense of closure, their bravery having brought peace to the restless spirit of Dr. Graves. The hospital continued its work, its halls now free from the shadows that had once plagued them. Years later, Laura returned to St. Augustine's as a seasoned physician. The old wing had become a vibrant part of the hospital once more, and the ghostly incidents had become a part of its past. The story of the haunting became a local legend, a reminder of the thin line between the living and the supernatural. As Laura walked through the hospital's halls, she often thought of the shadows and whispers that had once haunted St. Augustine's. The experience had changed her, deepening her understanding of the mysteries that lay beyond the veil of life and death. She knew that while the hospital's ghosts had been laid to rest, the echoes of their presence would always linger, a haunting reminder of the shadows that once dwelled within.